Telegram CEO Pavel Durov was arrested in Paris as part of a probe into the messaging app's content moderation. The 39-year-old Russian-born billionaire fled the country in 2014 after facing pressure from Moscow for not suppressing opposition voices on his social media platform. He can hardly be called a Russian patriot. This is what a state media outlet wrote. But several Kremlin figures slammed the arrest as politically motivated. In fact, ex-owner Elon Musk himself, in the EU's crosshairs over content moderation, said the arrest was an attack on free speech. But Pavel Durov, though was born in Russia and he lives in Dubai now, where Telegram is based. He holds dual citizenship of the United Arab Emirates and France. And Telegram, as you are well aware, is popular among Russians. It's also popular among Ukrainians, and it's popular in the former Soviet Union states. The app was banned in Russia in 2018 after a previous refusal by him to hand over user data, but the ban was actually reversed in 2021. And with Facebook, YouTube, WhatsApp, Instagram, TikTok, and WeChat, Telegram is actually ranked as one of the major social media platforms. Well, we have with us independent tech policy researcher Pranesh Prakash, who's also an affiliated fellow at Yale Law School's Information Society project. Thank you so much, Mr. Prakash, for joining us. Would you say overall Telegram's system of moderating extremist and illegal content is significantly weaker than that of other social media companies and messenger apps?
That's a frequent accusation, but I don't think that it's warranted. If you look at competing apps such as Signal, which is fully end-to-end encrypted and puts in place multiple barriers, such as being able to join various groups without actually revealing to each other who's exactly joined and so on, and being able to add people using pseudonyms. In all those ways, Signal actually poses a bigger threat. Yet it's surprising that it's Telegram that the French authorities have gone after, rather than fully end-to-end encrypted apps like Signal, which make it even more difficult to monitor than Telegram.
In fact, many argue that Mr. Durov's arrest is an assault on the basic human rights of speech and association. Do you endorse this belief?
Currently, it's difficult to tell because there are very few details out in the public domain as to the exact crimes that he is accused of and the evidence to back up those accusations. But what I can say is there's a great deal of hypocrisy. If this same kind of action had been undertaken by, say, Russia or by China, then the EU would be up in arms about the human rights, about intermediary liability, how the person who's running a network is not responsible for the content and actions of those who are using the network, and so on. And in fact, under the Digital Services Act in the EU, there's an explicit prohibition of on requiring a general obligation to monitor what's going on a platform. And so in all these ways, the laws seem to favor Mr. Durov, but and there's clearly hypocrisy here from the European authorities, from the French authorities, in terms of the kinds of actions that they have taken, and saying that it's fully justified. While if these actions had taken place in other kinds of regimes, they would be up in arms and talking about human rights at this moment.
Right, certainly. But you know, Mr. Prakash, Telegram, as you know, does allow a group of up to about 2 lakh members, which critics have argued makes it much easier for misinformation to spread, for users to share conspiracist, neo-Nazi, pedophilic or terror-related content. In fact, if I may inform our viewers, just what happened a few weeks ago in the UK, the app was actually scrutinized for hosting far-right channels that were instrumental in organizing the violent disorder in English cities earlier this month. But so things aren't all rosy for Telegram as we speak at the moment, right?
That's true about any social network that we have. That is true about Facebook, that is true about Twitter, and so on. The question here is who should be held responsible for content on a social network? Should it be the people who are actually sending it, the people who are acting upon that content? Because let's remember that merely the act of sending a message containing misinformation by and of itself is not a violation of any law in most parts of the world. It is doing so maliciously and they're generally, even under, for instance, the UK's Online Safety Act, there are other requirements. Now, the question is, are those people who are actually engaging in this kind of activity, are they the ones you should go after as a government, or the people who are running the social network? Now, let's be clear. There are all kinds of people, all kinds of authorities around the world who would want to get rid of all kinds of information under the name of misinformation, regardless of whether the parties who are actually engaged in that discussion think so or not. There is no universal definition of misinformation. It's malleable in the hands of power. And so I would definitely not single out Telegram for this. I would say it's a genuine problem that we're facing right now, especially with the rise of encrypted chat networks, especially with the rise of things like Signal, which make it even harder to monitor and to pinpoint who sent what, when, and so on. And if Telegram has not been responding to valid legal orders that have come from French courts regarding specific content sent by specific people, then in that case there might be a case to put forward for obstruction of justice or something of that kind. But in the absence of any such details, this seems like a crackdown on freedom of speech to me.
Well, thank you so much, Mr. Prakash, for joining us on The World 24/7 and shedding light on some very pertinent aspects of this debate.